All right, everybody, welcome to our first
Ooh,
mini episode
bonus
of.
episode. We're
We are
done with
talking
that.
about The Mandalorian, and we've been talking about this
Wait a minute, The
for it seems like
Mandalorian.
since the inception of this show.
Highly anticipated by not just us, but especially since they announced Disney Plus, only to find out after you subscribe that it's only one episode a week.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, it's
Surprise!
a little bit of a letdown right there, right? Because we're spoiled.
Yeah, this is a throwback to must-see TV. You got to
It
wait a
is.
week for the
It's
next
true, and
episode.
I will tell you. I just watched the first two episodes, but we're only going to talk about the first
I only
episode.
watched the first. As of this recording, I've only watched the first, so that's all I'm prepared to speak on today.
Right. The weird thing is that my social media feed has exploded. For anybody who's never listened to this show, I am somewhat connected with some of the Lucasfilm artists over the years, guys who have worked in the industry, do work in the industry, some who actually have worked on this show. Yeah, I've had to stay away from everything because it's just the buzz is deafening, good or bad.
So it gives you no choice but to watch it. And, any way that you're able to, whether you sign up for Disney Plus, you use a friend's password, or you obtain it through other illegal means that we won't speak of.
Are you advocating?
I do not advocate such actions in any way, shape, or form.
No. Listen, it's all streaming.
Yeah, it's out there.
I mean, I hate to say it, but there are ways to watch this without actually.
So Jon Favreau directed this, and
Yes.
but it's still very much in the Star Wars style that you've become accustomed to with the dissolves. So you're getting that flavor right off the top.
Yeah, I think it's a true throwback to the original trilogy. That kind of down and dirty. There's been talk about a standalone Boba Fett movie for years, and that it was going to be very much in the tone of the old school Clint Eastwood Man Without a Name spaghetti western kind of feel. And that's exactly what you're getting with this show.
It is, although not exactly Boba Fett.
No, it's right. This character has no name other than the fact they refer to him as the Mandalorian.
And I see that he's been nicknamed in a lot of articles as Mando.
As soon as he walks into that bar, the bad guys, they were roughing up the little bluegill dude, and he spills his drink. He does refer to him as Mando.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like slang, like maybe even a derogatory term.
Now, Boba Fett, we establish, is a son of Jango Fett from
who's a
episode
clone.
2.
He's
who
a
is
clone.
a clone.
And
so
not
Boba
a true
Fett is the son of a
Mandalorian.
clone.
Son of a clone.
That's son of a clone.
You son of a clone.
And
that's so funny.
It was established that Jango Fett and then Boba Fett after him, they adopt the Mandalorian armor, although it's never really clear if they're actual Mandalorians themselves.
No, and because Disney went back and kind of wiped away all that stuff that was established in some of those expanded universe novels.
Which was canon and wasn't canon, but now is coming around again.
So you brought up Favreau already, but Dave Filoni, who actually directed this episode, and I think that he's really entrenched with Lucas since he came on board with the Clone Wars and Rebels. I think he's the closest to the source material itself. He's really tapped into what George was looking for, and that a lot of what you're seeing on this screen right now is due to him.
Yeah. And as you said, those classic spaghetti westerns, you right up front, you get a feel for that. You see the Mandalorian approaching what looks like a spaceport, very much in the mold of the Tatooine spaceport, with his cape blowing in the wind behind him, and all you're missing is that music in the background.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, but let's talk about the soundtrack, because I think it's phenomenal. I think it's really kind of, it does kind of grab that flavor, but it's got its own little twist to it. And that's the one thing I just read, that I guess each week they're dropping the soundtrack on Apple Music.
The soundtrack of each episode?
Of each episode, yep. So not only are they getting you $8.99 a month, they're also getting you $7.99 a week for the soundtrack.
buy the albums for every single episode, right?
But the weird thing here is that they're not a solid hour. Like, I think
and
this
again,
first
I
episode,
applaud that because
it's just you tell the story to the point where you tell the story and you don't pad it out.
Exactly. Just show what you need to show and get out of there. Leave them wanting more, if anything.
Well,
you don't give them too much, Yeah,
that's some of the detractors already, though, which are people are griping. Again, like I said, 99% of my feed is absolute positivity. And then you got the 2%. I got one guy I know who's already canceled his Disney Plus because he was so disappointed with not only this series, but just what they had available.
Really? And then he also ended his rant by saying Santa Claus wasn't real. And
yeah,
and by the way, Santa Claus.
Bunny, yes. Old man yells at Cloud. So yeah, I mean, some people are not digging this. I'm in for the ride.
So this is the closest thing to a Boba Fett standalone that we're going to get. We see this character is a bounty hunter, and he's going after a bounty first 2 minutes of this show. As you said, the Blue Guild guy. It appears that he's helping him out by sticking up for him against these.
Yeah, no,
that's his bounty.
He's just taking the bounty away from the other guys.
Yeah,
I actually thought that was the red-haired crazy guy that you always pull the soundbite from.
Carrot Top.
That would have been awesome if that
Malachi?
was
Carrot Top. What are the redheads?
I'm drawing a blank. He played the Paul Giamatti. There he is.
Leave your credentials at the door and get out.
Yeah, this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
So the Empire has fallen. We get that one little throwaway line, just kind of because there's not a lot of dialogue. True to those old westerns. There's really, like, you just kind of thrown in this universe, which is what George did in the first one. He doesn't explain anything.
And you get the impression that the government, or if there's any, is kind of in a shambles or in disarray or in a very weird transitional period now that the Empire is gone. So people kind of don't know what to do with themselves. And these secret factions of people that are still loyal to the Empire obviously exist because the Mandalorian gets a job from one of them.
Yes.
So we get set up. You just see him about his normal business where he's collecting a bounty. And he's got a collection. He's got a very Slave One-esque spaceship. Not exactly, but it's very reminiscent of the Slave One kind of design.
The Razor Crest, it is referred to as.
It is the Razor Crest?
It is the Razor Crest.
Your questions are answered. If you'd ever wondered, like, how in the Star Wars universe people go to the bathroom, they call them vacuum tubes. They're not toilets.
We did see a toilet for the probably first time ever in the Star Wars. Outside of maybe Robot Chicken, that was a toilet.
So this little Blue Guild guy who's on the Mandalorian ship with his handcuffs on because he is the bounty. He says, hey, can I use your vacuum tube? Because you really don't want to be around me if I don't express myself, I think was the way that he put it.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
So he goes down into the lower quarters of the ship just to sneak around, and he finds a whole gallery of these carbonite statues that the Mandalorian, that you assume that they're all bounties that he's bringing to whomever.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit because I didn't like that. In Empire Strikes Back, you're led to believe that they used the carbon freezing because that was what was available to them in Cloud City in order to encase Han Solo. But here he's got this device on his ship that allows him to encase these.
Yes, and in Empire they were going to use it on Luke. They were testing it on Han.
Yeah.
To see if it would kill him or not, because Vader wanted Luke to survive, so he was trying to get him into that chamber. So, but not knowing
what may not happen. So now all of a sudden it's like so now he's just got one on his ship. That I didn't like. I mean, I get you want some callbacks. The little ball communication thing at Jabba's palace that pops out of the wall when 3PO and R2 first arrive. I mean, I get it. It's a shared universe. Is he on Tatooine?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That question actually looms a little bit larger when you get into episode 2.
Yeah, let's not speak of that.
We're not.
Carl Weathers.
Yeah, nice to see him getting a paycheck, right?
It is. So he's bringing all these bounties back to Carl Weathers. And there's something that we've never seen before as well, which is like a fob that they actually call it. It's almost like a key fob, but it's like a GPS type of a thing.
Yes.
And that's almost like that detracts from the bounty hunter's natural skills. I'm like, that makes it too easy.
We're just here it is. Right. Oh yeah, by the way, we just put a chip in him. All you got to do is follow this.
Yeah. It'll bring
I'll just cut out the middleman. I'm just going to cut out the middleman and go get this guy myself. Why am I going to pay this bounty?
So Carl Weathers points him in the direction of an Empire officer who's got a little cadre of stormtroopers at his beck and call.
Werner Herzog.
Yes, the famous director is playing a role here.
Even if you don't know that name, you see that guy's face, you know who he is.
So he has an interesting job for him, which does not involve, what do they call it? A puck? Like a little hockey puck, which I assume has all the information on the belly.
That was my take, right? Because Carl Weathers' character would kind of put these out, and it would like a little 3D display would show up of the character's face with probably all of his stats and
kind of like Lumpy watching Dion Carroll and
there you go.
He
made a Life Day reference.
The Blue Guild guy wanted to be home for Life Day.
The holiday special canon.
That validates. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
So the Mandalorian gets this new bounty, and he's given the barest information about this bounty, but he is given a fob. So he does have a GPS. The mark is 50 years old. That's all he has to go on. He uses the fob and tracks it to this planet, which looks like California desert.
Yes. He was in Yuma.
Yeah, filming this at Joshua Tree, apparently. And he meets an Ugnaught. Do we ever get his name, the Ugnaught's name?
I think he does have a name. I don't know. I don't have it. Nor
Played
is it
by
important.
Nick Nolte.
Is that typecasting? Because he looks like Nick Nolte. Obviously, it's not Nick Nolte in costume, but he's doing the voice.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And he's an Ugnaught. He's a kind of cool little character.
I have spoken, yes.
That's how he ends his lines.
But he keeps talking after he says, I have spoken.
And now I speak again.
So he leads him, not before the Mandalorian trains how to ride like a half dewback kind of a creature.
Yeah, they were called blurgs, which you know that's actually kind of a call out to Lemon. Her character's name was Lemon.
Liz Lemon?
Liz Lemon.
30 Rock.
Yeah, because she always made like little Star Wars references, but she had this little catchphrase where she was what the blurg, and that's what they call those.
That
and
was
that's
a throwback to 30 Rock?
I guess I'm guessing because where else does that word come from? But that is what they referred to them
as. All right, I'll take that. So
then you have this little montage of him trying to learn how to ride this thing. I will say that the humor is it's just enough. There's funny little moments.
The Ugnaught leads the Mandalorian to this compound where his mark is being guarded by all sorts of underworld undesirables.
Yeah, this thing is like Fort Knox.
And they all kind of look like the skiff pilots from Jabba's.
Yes.
And what the great thing is he's trying to figure out how to get himself in there. Another bounty hunter shows up. And this was the highlight of the episode for me.
Yes, he's awesome.
Because it's an IG model. Anybody remembers Empire Strikes Back and remember that rogues gallery of bounty hunters that Boba Fett is a part of. So we had Boba Fett, we had Bosk, we had IG-88, and that short guy with the mummy.
Forlam Zuckus.
And I always used to wonder to myself, well, what good is this guy? This robot who's 9 feet tall. And stick thin. I'm like, what can he possibly do?
Yeah, and even I have the 12-inch action figure, and he's stiff.
Yeah,
he doesn't really do right. It's like you can put your arm up or down. You can't move it side to side. But guess what? Friggin'
you see him because
John
it's not
Favreau
IG-88.
And Filoni, IG-11.
IG-11, but it's the same model type of droid.
And he is voiced by Taika
Waititi. And this thing is just a devastation machine.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
And every time he gets put in a corner, he's like, all right, I'm activating my self-destruct button. He goes, what do you, no, don't self-destruct. All right, I'll put it away.
So the Mandalorian sees this thing approaching and knows the potential of this droid. Its signature move is kind of like the money shot in Iron Man 2. Where Iron Man does the ultimate weapon and all the lasers come out of him at once, and he completely in a 360 destroys all the robots.
Yeah, because his torso can spin separately than his legs and his head, and his arms are just going to town.
So he's looking and shooting in every direction at once. It seems.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. It was really cool.
So
and that probably is one of the few CG characters. Everything else in this is really kind of practical.
So Mando teams up with this IG model to take out this army of criminal types that are guarding this compound. They find their mark. They get themselves inside, and what looks like a floating sphere kind of a thing is inside the compound. They open it up, and it's like a floating baby carriage. And they look inside, or like a car seat, right?
Yeah, basically it's a car seat.
They look inside, and what do they see but a little baby, green, pointed-eared Yoda? And, obviously, Jeff, you would know this better than me, but we never really were told what species Yoda is, or if there's more than one of him.
Well, no, you saw in episode 1 on the council, you had the female one with the ponytail named Yaddle,
okay.
Something like that. But then she quickly disappeared. That is one thing that Yoda's species has never been divulged. that I'm aware of, and any even like the expanded universe stuff.
And the Mandalorian immediately is like, this is the mark. I was told it was 50 years old. And then IG-11 has to, explain to the audience, well, some species age differently than others.
Right, exactly. We couldn't put two and two together. So apparently the Mandalorian can't.
IG-11 is prepared to shoot this thing.
Yeah, because it was dead or alive, right?
Yeah. And I think his orders were determined.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but the Mandalorian was told they prefer it alive, but if you want to bring it in cold, then so be it.
He ends up destroying the IG-11 before he can kill this.
That was a nice little scene too, because you got guns pointed at little baby Yoda, who's absolutely adorable.
Yeah,
I mean, this thing is like he's so cute.
I want to squeeze his hand.
Yes, you do. And
so that's the end of the episode. Is the Mandalorian standing by himself with the IG-11 smoking down, at his feet, looking into this baby car.
And he puts his finger in like he actually puts his finger like, hello, little baby.
Yeah.
So you're getting these little hits of personality. It's just enough flavor. Because if you're not bought in by this first episode, then I don't know what to tell you.
I cannot wait to watch the second episode. It's like it's a huge cliffhanger, and it's so frustrating that they're not all there. Or I would have watched probably the whole thing already.
Yeah, they're parsing it out. I will say that we do get little glimpses, flashbacks in one scene where he's on the ground, right?
Okay.
And you see the flashbacks of like almost like him with his parents.
Yes, and they're very quick though. They're very quick.
But it is established that he is human looking. He's not some green blue skinned alien. Will we ever take his helmet off? Who knows? I don't know. I mean, they got the guy from Game of Thrones. That's Oberon.
The guy that got his head crushed by the mountain.
Yes, yeah. He was actually a well-liked character.
No wonder he's wearing a helmet.
His head is still crushed. But that helmet alone is like its own character. So I don't know. Does it ruin the mystique if he takes it off? Actually, I think that the little Ugnaught character at one point says, oh, is it true you guys never take your helmets off? Only when I'm on the vacuum tube.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think this is worth the wait. I really loved it, and I really hope that the rest of it can live up to this first episode. I'm going four buckets on this first episode.
4 buckets. I'll follow you on that.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah, we'd like to see. I think each episode will be directed by somebody different, so there may be a little, I don't know,
a little change up of style as it goes along.
I mean, I don't think they want to change it up too much. You've already established the look and feel. And like you said, you got the old world, the kind of the Star Wars swipes that Lucas was stealing from stuff he grew up with kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and, just like Lucas meant to intend with the Star Wars, this is very much like the old Flash Gordon type serial. So in a way, the 1 episode a week is kind of fitting for this,
Yeah.
Come back next week and see what happens.
And you're right. Those were actually chapters too, not episodes.
So I think this will work out. Maybe we can talk a little bit about each episode or a couple episodes.
I mean, it's only 8 episodes. So yeah. I mean, it's not like Game of Thrones where every week we're going to unpack, an hour's worth of exposition. So
right.
Yeah, let's do it.
So there you have it.
Okay. Mandalorian. You're probably one of the 2.6 billion people who already signed up.
And Disney Plus, if you're listening, we're available for advertising if you want us to.
Nice. I'm sure they need it.
We've probably already hit the McDonald's 1 billionth customer by now. It's not even been a week.
Yeah. So there you go. Check it out. I have spoken. Son of a clone.
That son of a clone.
You son of a clone.